here to see Sebastian and hear from Sebastian. And Sebastian, I gave you a title, Remembering Our First Love. I thought that would be general enough for you for what we're doing. And so that's it. I'd like to, if we can, Glenn, could you just say a word about why you decided to publish this guy's books?
Well, John, you asked me about that, and actually, that's the first time I can remember being asked why I published Choose Only Love. And it didn't come to me immediately, but it came to me this morning. It was very clear. So in 2016, I got to know Sebastian. April 2016, he got in touch with me. He had discovered A Course of Love. In February 2017, Muffy and I went to Argentina, visited him. I felt Sebastian's purity. I just felt it. He then would become, a couple of years later, the publisher of the Spanish edition of A Course of Love, Un Curso de Amor, which was being translated by our dear friend Coralie. In October of 2018, he received the first vision and message that led to Choose Only Love. Now, even though I have loved A Course in Miracles since 1978, it was a central point in my spiritual life. Nevertheless, I didn't feel complete. When your soul searches, there's something more to be found. Then I did discover A Course of Love, and with A Course of Love, really ingesting it, I didn't feel the need to know more. It became a matter of living that truth. And I also felt complete professionally. I was publishing A Course of Love. I wasn't really interested in publishing anything else. So I don't recall Sebastian ever asking me to publish Choose Only Love. Maybe he did, but I certainly don't remember. Somehow I just knew that I would, and that it was the right thing for me to do. So, so working with Sebastian on Choose Only Love and preparing the books in English has been a complete, total pleasure. And for me, I characterize Choose Only Love as like being embraced by the angels and in having an intimate conversation. And yes, there's learning that takes place, but it's not about learning. It's about being. It's about being the love that we really are. So that's my long answer to why did I publish it?
That's a great answer. Very good. Thank you very much. So we're going to go straight to Sebastian now. I'm going to ask Sebastian himself if he would be willing to introduce himself, seeing how guess who knows more about Sebastian than Sebastian, right? So Sebastian, you want to come on and say hi? And we've had a few times together, a little bit of time in Philadelphia a couple years ago, and then yesterday or one day this week for a little while. And so is Sebastian there?
Sure.
Yes.
First, I would like to thank you, John and Glenn, for making this possible. From the beginning, when I joined this Zoom call, I started to see all of you and to feel the gratitude in my heart for being witness of how the Spirit unites all of us into this holy moment. So I really want to thank you and everyone for making this possible from the bottom of my heart. And before introducing myself, I would like to answer the question that Glenn Hoveman has made just a couple of minutes before, whether I asked him to publish Choose Only Love or not. And I didn't ask him, and I didn't ask anyone to publish what I received from the voice of Christ, because Jesus said to me clearly once that I have to receive and collect whatever I received, and he will create a work of collaboration. So he said to me, you don't have to do anything, because I will send my angels in the earth in order to make this masterpiece to be extended all over the world, like a divine orchestra, like a choir of the angels that I see. So he showed me the choir of angels that I receive in these manifestations. And he said to me, creation is like a choir, because it's a work of collaboration. So your only task is to receive and to be abandoned to me. And I will send everyone who is part of my divine plan in order to create this movement of beautiful love, which is part of the second Advent. And then Glenn appeared, and many other angels in the earth came to me in order to be part of this movement. And I really thank God for giving me the opportunity to know all of you and everyone who is part of this movement. And it was shown to me as well how the second Advent is creating the new right now, with many brothers and sisters all over the world who are shining in the light of Christ, having different activities, different roles in this divine orchestra. So I wanted to make that explanation to let you know that we all can be a pencil in the hands of God in order to write the story of the new creation. And that's what Glenn and others are being in this masterpiece. That's why I really thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. And now, going back to what I have to say, which is my introduction. I'm Sebastian Blaksley. I born in Argentina in a traditional, large and Catholic family. And I'm divorced. I have 2 daughters. I live in Buenos Aires right now. And I had a very close relationship with Jesus and Mary since I have memories. Depending on the different stages of my life, that relationship took different expressions, but it's always the same relationship with Jesus and Mary. One of those important moments was when I was young, almost 6 years old, and I was in the car of my mother with some of my brothers and sisters at that time, and the car had an accident with the train. A train crashed with the car, and one of my brothers, whose name is Peter, died in that accident. And I jumped because of that accident behind the train, and I could feel perfectly well the presence of an ineffable strength and power who took my body in order to protect it from train. And when the train passed through me, he moved me in order to take my body away from where it was, because it was dangerous. And without any decision on my own, I was just moved by that presence. And that presence gave me what I would say at that time, his hand, in order to stand up. And when I stand up, I was out of any risk at that time, couple of meters away from the train. And he said to me, "Don't be afraid. I'm here with you." And he was repeating and repeating that every time to me. And when he said that, no fear was possible in my heart. And I felt the embrace of someone who knows me from ever and ever, from all eternity, and that I know from all eternity as well. It was like remembering someone who you really know from all eternity. And the only thing that I felt at that moment was an immense and ineffable love that was embracing me. And he was with me during the whole day, saying me, "Don't be afraid, I'm with you." And that was a very significant part of my relationship with Jesus and Mary. But after that, they were with me in a more clear way every single day in my life. And I say, because I fall in love at that moment with Jesus and Mary, because of the experience of this unconditional love. I didn't understood at that moment why I was kept in this world, because I couldn't find any other love that is like that. And Jesus said to me, "Because you have a mission that I will reveal at the right time." And after that moment, I understood that I'm living in the will of God, and that everything is perfect in my life, because I have the experience of receiving the miracles that come from Jesus and Mary in our daily life. So I started to have a relationship with them in which everything that happens in my life is given to them. And in 2013, I listened to Jesus saying to me, "You will start to write for me. You will be a pencil in the hands of God." He also uses the expression, "a pencil in the hands of love." And he started to give me the words that I receive. And he said to me not to do anything with that except for collecting them. And at the right time, they will see the light, as I explained before. In this path of my spirituality, in my direct relationship with God through Jesus and Mary, there were different significant moments. it was very interesting, based on my experience, how everything makes sense, and when you connect back the dots. So there was a time in which the spiritual books were so important to me, and they used to come to me in a miraculous way. That happened with the books of Saint Teresa of Avila first, and then Saint John the Cross, which were absolutely significant for my spirituality at that time. And all of them came to me in the same way. When I am praying in the adoration in silence, in the chapel of adoration, I listen to Jesus saying to me what the book has to be, found and follow. I don't want to get into details on that, but I think it's what I'm trying to say, that those books are shown to me. And there was a time in which that book was A Course in Miracles, which was a book that I never heard before. And I started to work with A Course in Miracles during 5 years. And when I finished that, in the same way, it was explained to me that and given to me a course of love. That is what Glenn Hoveman is telling us before when I joined a course of love. And actually, what I always say is they joined me rather than I joined them, because they come literally to me through this experience of receiving what I have to do from the Holy Spirit. And after that, we started to have a holy relationship with Glenn. And that's why I'm here. I mean, this wonderful journey of love that comes from Jesus and Mary brought me here to be with all of you. And I really thank you, John, for bringing this expression of returning back to the first love, because that was what our Immaculate Mother Mary said to me about this manifestation. She said that we always go back to the first love, and that is God. And she is going to be in charge of allowing us to remember that first love, where we come from. And when we remember who we love the most, which is our divine source, we will start to remember who we are because of that love. And once we remember who we are, we will start to sing a song of gratitude because of our creation, because we can see the holiness, the beauty, and the magnificence of who we truly are. And once we know who we are, we will begin to shine in the light of Christ and to accomplish the purpose of our life, which is to be the Christ that we truly are, here and now, in our humanity, in our daily reality. So thank you for allowing us to go to the basis of this, which is to return to the first love that we have, which is our Creator, which is God.
Right. You said something, one of the other participants said something about the future of our consciousness and how we're growing, I guess, collectively. How are you seeing that, and what's happening? Not that we don't sense it, but how do we sense this collectively? That'd be one kind of question.
Sure. Based on the revelation that I received, we are living in the time of the great transformation, which is called the birth of Christ in us. We are living in one of the most holy and sacred times in our history as humankind. We are being witness of that birth. So this birth of Christ is creating a new earthly kingdom. That new earthly kingdom is born from our Divine Mother, who is the source of our soul. And she is giving life to this new creation. That new creation, which is called a new earthly kingdom by Jesus and Mary in the manifestation that I received, is a reality in which the material reality, the physical universe, and the spiritual reality will be seen and live as the unity that they are. So we will be able to live in our humanity as the Christ that we are, and we can be, we will also able to interact whether we want to express ourselves more physically or more spiritually, because there will be a dialogue, an open dialogue, and a visible dialogue between heaven and earth. And this new humanity is here now. We are that new humanity. We are given the first steps of this new creation, which is growing day after day in terms of awareness. So what is happening with this transformation is that our consciousness is being opened more and more, just to say in one way, in order to be able to receive the truth of everything. And the truth of everything is that everything comes from love, and just love will be extended eternally. And one important message of this is that that includes our humanity and our divine aspect. So everything that we are as human beings, our body, our mind, our desires, and our heart, and everything that we are is included in this new creation. So we are called to start living as the divine human beings that we are. And that is the call that Jesus and Mary is giving to us right now.
So sometimes I'm hearing other people talking about the same thing you are, and some of them putting around that sort of apocryphal images of a kind of cleansing or something that precedes the greater awakening. Do you have any insights on that? It seems a little scary to some folks, like the physical will be changed or something. Did you understand?
I just want to make sure that I listen properly to your question. You mean the transformation of our physical dimension?
Well, no, just the transformation of the whole world of our own consciousness as we begin to open and expand. Principle number 7 of the Course in Miracles says, miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. So there's this implication that there's a kind of purification that precedes the awakening, and that the idea of purification strikes some folks as something to be wary of, if you see what I'm saying.
Thank you for the clarification. It was shown to me and explained to me that this transformation includes absolutely every single aspect of the creation. So everything is going to be transformed and is being transformed into the love of God. That means our body, the earth, the planets, the universe, and not only us, but also animals and everything that exists. So yes, the transformation will embrace everything and everyone. And talking about the purification, sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's needed. However, the word that I received from Jesus and Mary is not purification, but transformation. Because the purification has already occurred, has already happened. What is happening now is that our global consciousness is being adjusted in order to integrate the truth of who we are individually, and that resistance is what we are experiencing now. And somehow we can use the word purification for that, but that's not the word that is being used by Jesus and Mary in my case. The purification of the humanity has already happened. What is happening now is that we are adjusting our soul in order to live in the new reality that is here and now. I can use a metaphor for that, which is when you wake up, some people are still having resistance to wake up because they just want to keep sleeping. But finally, everyone will be awake. So I just wanted to make that clarification because sometimes the word purification has meanings related to something that we did wrong or something that we have to pay. I'm not saying that that is the meaning of A Course in Miracles,
Right.
but sometimes purification has those meanings. And Jesus and Mary were very, very concerned about that and very tender in terms of letting us to understand that we are not in the time of thinking about whether we are guilty or not. Those times are over because we are in the time of the new, and the new is to accept that we are already the Christ that lives in us. So it's an invitation to forget about everything that we learned before and to be open to embrace the light and to walk through the light in order to make that light shine more and more every day and to forget about the past.
Right.
100%, including the idea of being guilty or not guilty, responsible or not responsible, because those times already happened and we are called to move one step ahead. And the new is the light. The new is the love that we are. And our Divine Mother and Jesus is telling us that you are love and nothing else but love. And you are invited to start showing that in the happiness of who you truly are and to trust in who you are, to trust in your holiness, to trust in our direct relationship with God, because love is transforming the universe, the world, and our life, and everything will be all right.
It's
John?
it's the
John?
first characteristic of a teacher of God that's in the manual for teachers of A Course in Miracles. So that's where we start. There's actually an order to the 10 characteristics. Number one is trust.
And
Just,
John, could I add
yeah,
here?
sure.
Could I add something here?
Mm-hmm.
There's a statement in book 1, I think it's page 160 of Choose Only Love. It says, make unconditional trust the purpose of your life. And that phrase, which I had never seen until then, has become a central point for me for the last couple of years. And honestly, it was perfect preparation for me for the events of 2020. Unconditional trust. And so if we're talking about transformation, I might also add that I think it's in book 2, I'm not sure, that Mother Mary speaks about destructuring. She says that there will be the destructuring of the systems of the world before the restructuring can take place. So I realize that's not a question, but Sebastian, maybe you would want to expand on that.
Thank you very much, Glenn, for bringing this to this holy dialogue, because those revelations were significant also for me. First is about the unconditional trust. We are called to trust in this process, to have our mind and our heart focused on the fact that God is managing this process and he is doing everything for the best convenience of who we are. And so as much as we trust, as easy as it's going to be the process for us. And talking about the structures, Jesus was also very clear to me. He said, I came to transform the world. And I came to this structure to make, vanish all the structures in the world in order for everyone to see me in your brothers and sisters and in the creation. So what we are experiencing now is that transformation. All the systems are being banished in order for us to be prepared for growing in our trust. Because if we see this in terms of practical things in the world right now, the lack of trust in the authorities, government, church, families, and other ways of an expression of authority is part of that movement. Because once we cannot trust in anything that we see, our soul immediately goes to the real authority, which is the Christ in us. So we are in the time in which we are called to have our heart, the Christ that we are, as the only authority and guidance for our life. So definitely Christ is changing everything so we can start living in the new. And that's very important, I would say essential to trust. Because that expression that you bring here, Glenn, says that make the trust, the unlimited trust, unconditional trust, the reason of your life. It's not just about trusting a little bit. It's just to abandon all of our heart and mind and everything that we are into love, and to trust in love. Love is conducting this, and love is creating the new earthly kingdom. And we have the opportunity to connect our heart with that trust and to live in peace.
It sounds so simple. In a sense, it's just a matter of letting go and letting God take the lead. I mean, to really, that's what GPS is, like God's plan, just seeing what the lesson is and following that without getting involved in it too much ourselves. It's sort of interesting the way that Glenn says, or you say that, you know, you didn't know how the book would be published or something, but it was, the right way was there. It just happens, right? It happens in the right way. That's very nice.
Right, and there was once in which I was receiving that revelation of trust, and let everything go away, let the past go away, and those kinds of revelation. But once our Immaculate Mother Mary came to me to let me know how we can do that. Because she wants us to have an easy life. So she gives us everything that we need. Sometimes we need knowledge or understanding, and she gives that to us. So she said, in order to make this possible in your life, what you have to do is to let yourself be loved. And she insisted in this, let yourself be loved, and let yourself be loved. And that is the reason why the second book of Choose Only Love has that title. So the invitation now is to be open to receive the divine love, to have the experience of that direct relationship with God. So if we are open to receive love in many ways, including our brothers and sisters who are instruments or expressions of the divine love, then we open our heart in order to receive the miracles and the grace. And because of that receiving, we can give what we have received. And that understanding was also very significant for me, because Jesus explained me that I was created to be loved. And nothing else but that. So when we open our heart to receive the divine love in every single aspect of our life, we are accomplishing the purpose of God.
So I'm reminded of the very first paragraph in the Course in Miracles in the introduction, where it says that the purpose of the Course is to help us to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So that would require, it seems, that we become aware of what the blocks are, so that we can set the blocks aside. Huh?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation.
Well, the task then, I guess, has become one of seeing where we're blocked, being more aware of where we're not in alignment, so that we can get into alignment. That requires some. The Course in Miracles talks a great deal about willingness. There has to be a willingness on our part to do this, to make the leap, to listen, to be in communication. Otherwise, we're still sleeping. Got any suggestions about how? I guess we get all. You know what I think is so wonderful. We have the Course in Miracles, the Course of Love, and your Choose Only Love. It's all about. I love the fact that Jesus never stops speaking, if you will. You know, that the voice is always there and it's always been there. You talk about it, for example, with Mother Teresa and Teresa of Avila and St. John of the Cross. And now it's more sophisticated in that we can have this means of communication to the whole world in a way that we never had before, and an opportunity to dialogue in a very loving way, and folks like yourself to be guideposts along the way. So that's just an observation. I think we also want, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, Thank you for that observation, because this is one of the characteristics of the new, because the new is based on the direct relationship with God. We are going to see more and more that direct relationship in our humanity. So it's a relationship of trust, and in which we can feel confident and comfortable with having a conversation with God, being who you are in our daily life, more and more, because that's what is part of the reality.
Right. So, Bud, are you seeing some questions coming up? We could do a couple questions before our bathroom break thing here, if you got a couple that you'd like to introduce.
Yeah, we actually have a few comments, and then we do have one question, which is kind of interesting. The observation is, it seems that there's an assumption here that the world of form has independent existence or otherwise is considered real. It sounds like it, says the questioner, but they would like some clarification. Some have said that ACIM and A Course of Love have contrary positions on this.
Thank you for bringing this very important topic as well. Personally speaking, I don't see any contradiction between what A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love says and what the truth is. Because based on the revelation that I received, everything is part of a totality. There's no something like a physical world and the spiritual world as separated dimensions. So when A Course in Miracles say that the form or this universe of form is not real because just love is real, only love is real, is part of the way of we understand the world. So for me, it was a very important revelation that I want to share with you in order to use that maybe for clarifications. Jesus said to me, the world, the concept of world is not the same as the concept of creation. When I talk about the world, I'm talking about the interrelationships that human beings are creating in order to have one experience. But the creation that includes you with your body, your soul, and everything that you are comes from God, because everything that exists has its origin in God. And he went one step ahead and said that the union of the physical and the spiritual aspect of the creation in our consciousness is already realized. So we are now in a position of living in that truth, the truth that we are human and divine at the same time, and everything is human, physically and divine at the same time. So for me, based on the revelation that I received, there's no differences between heaven and earth.
We can say heaven has always been, revelation has always been. It's just a matter of it's not that it's coming into being, it's already being, always has been. It's just a matter of our realizing, it's a matter of our awakening to what's already there, to our seeing.
Yes, and maybe some easy way of explaining this from my experience and the revelation that I received is that once I received the gift of seeing how the unity and the union of heaven and earth is in a more deeper way. And in that vision, it was shown to me that everything emerges from the divine light, which is a light that has no end and never is off. And it's a light of beauty and holiness, and we are all there. And there means here. So the heaven is here.
Yeah.
When you see that, and this is what we are going to see when our consciousness becomes fully aware, fully awake, we will see that we are all together within the light of God, and we don't go to anywhere, and everything exists here and now into that light. And that light is beauty, holy, and purity. It's difficult to explain sometimes because there are no words sometimes to explain this vision. But what I want to say is that there is no distance between heaven and earth, between our humanity and our divine reality. And the illumination and the awakeness and to wake up is to see that and to live in that reality.
Right. So it's 5 till 1. I said we take a 10-minute break around 1 o'clock. Why don't we do our 10-minute break now? And then when we come back, we're going to open it into the floor to anyone who would like to ask a question of Sebastian. We'll be able to do that. So Bud's going to set a clock for you, and we will see you about 6 minutes after 1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assuming that most folks are back, I believe Monica, we're going to go to a question from Monica now. You want to?
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead, dear.
Hello, everybody. And thank you, Sebastian. It's given me a lot of peace, just what I've heard so far. And I've been a course student for 15 years, a long time. And I was just strolling along being a spiritual counselor and helping others to find peace within themselves. And then in this last year, I have experienced what you've been calling the destructuring. Suddenly my mother died, and then suddenly my grandmother died, and then suddenly my husband left, and that happened a month ago.
Wow.
So I am just in the last year, I feel that I was doing my work in alignment with Christ, and then everything in the world is gone. I can see the value of those being gone because they did limit me, and I felt very blocked by those relationships. However, now I feel very disoriented. I'm still raising a daughter by myself, and I need to work and create an income in the world. So I guess my question is, and I'm sure this is helpful for others, how to practically be in this new time when things are taken away and we wake up in a new dream now. How to practically daily, doing just the course lesson is not enough for me right now. I feel like I need more reassurance or more connection or more communication in order to be birthed into this new reality. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and for sharing your experience, which I'm sure is part of a universal experience, that experience in which we are experiencing extremely challenging times. And because you asked a question about how we can walk through all of this in a practical way, Virgin Mary, or our Immaculate Mother Mary, was very clear about that with me. And that is what she is telling us right now, to all of us. The way of walking through all of that in peace and in harmony is embracing everything that we are. When we embrace every single feeling, no matter what that feeling is, we are making the big transformation. So from the practical standpoint, we are called to embrace our heart, to embrace our feelings, to allow them to be, and to become one with that, with those feelings, no matter what the feelings are, and to give those feelings to Christ. There is a place in our heart in which we can live in the refuge of divine love that is the center of our soul. And when we join all of our feelings, our fears, our pain, our happiness, our hope, and everything that we are experiencing right now, and we collect all of them, and we give those feelings to Christ in the center of our heart, we receive the life that comes from our feelings, because there is life in each feeling. And those feelings that are sometimes difficult for us in some moments in our life will bring us to the connection with our heart. When John talked about the block that we have, is the block with our heart. So we are all called to be connected with our heart. We are in the time of the Sacred Heart. So from the practical standpoint, I would say embrace this experience, embrace whatever you feel, and feel the holiness and the divine essence that comes in your feelings. And in that way, you will see and feel your inner peace and the beauty of who you are.
I'm reminded of Churchill during World War II telling people, when you're going through hell, keep going. And the only way out is through. I mean, we go through the suffering, we go through whatever it is, but you get richer for it by facing it straight on and by living it, as Sebastian says, in your heart, rather than running away from it, which you can't run away from it. You know, we wake up. It's a good. I'm going to write a thing very soon on what are called learning devices in A Course in Miracles. It says several times there are certain learning devices, and one of the things that it says it's a learning device is an extreme experience. Right, so there's something about extreme experiences that have this opportunity within them to wake us up even more by taking us, as Sebastian is saying, deeper into our hearts and becoming even more aware of that relationship, the relationship with Jesus or Mary or God or however you see it, which that's wonderful. Lynn, I guess, has a question. And then Mark Greenfield.
Thank you so much, John, Sebastian, everybody here. Thank you so much. I kind of have a poem that I think would fit.
Okay. Let's hear it.
It's called Rejoice. In light we hug. Gift is real. Celebrate who we are blessed to be. Mighty companions, we come together as trust in love is our way.
Sweet and very nice. Mark Greenfield.
Hello, dear brother Sebastian. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for being in general. The question I have is, you use the expression the pencil of God, and also the in your words that you have a discussion. And to me, they're slightly different meanings. Do you have both or one at a time? In other words, discussion to me is more like at times you express yourself and ask questions and ask for deeper meaning or clarification. Is that more the nature of your interaction, or is it just more as a kind of dictation where you write down what you hear? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mark, and for being here. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you very much. The communication from God to me has different manifestations, depend on the purpose of that interaction. Sometimes they come to me with visions, sometimes with symbols, sometimes with words that are dictated, and it depends on the situation. Talking about the books that I sharing, those words just come to me, and my body responds to the love that is inspiring those words. So I just receive the voice of Christ saying that I'm going to receive the words, and I go to the computer and just start the process. When the manifestation has to be in, in a dialogue like we are having now, they come to me immediately with the question that you ask me. So there is no distance between the answer and the question, or from the question to the answer. I hope I was clear to explain how this process is, but what I want to say is that once you grow in terms of abandoning yourself to the voice of God, then there is no distance between what it has to be said and the moment in which that is said. So it's like a constant dialogue that is here with me 24 hours a day.
So that leads to, I think about how the Course in Miracles says that the ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. We've seen a bit of that this last week. And the Holy Spirit uses the body, the primary function is communication, which leads to communion. So the communicate, and then so we just get into this the communion place, the communion with God. which it seems like you're doing very well. Actively, I mean.
Thank you for putting this into words. Sometimes it's very important for us to be able to put the mystical experience into words. So I really thank you, John, for that, because there was a long time in which I couldn't express what happened to me in the right words. Because sometimes it's ineffable. But I think it is, as you explained before, we have the opportunity and the possibility and the capability to give everything to God and to live our human life completely connected to Him. And when we do that, our human life becomes part of the divine plan. So in my case, Jesus, Mary, or an angel or other spiritual beings come to me at the right time and tell me what I need to know at that moment. And sometimes that knowledge is not something about mystical aspect or theology or philosophy or metaphysical knowledge. Most of the time, these are practical things that I have to do, like where I have to go, with whom I have to talk, what I have to say, or they showed me different things with very, practical things. Like sometimes they say, don't take the train and take the bus. Do that.
Yeah, sure.
So what I want to say with this is that the intimate relationship with God is not just about mystical things or things that come from the metaphysical aspect. It's all about living embraced by love. The only thing that God wants from me and from everyone is to be happy in His life, in His love, because He told me that I was created to be happy in His love. And the only important thing for Him is my holy happiness and the holy happiness of everyone. That's why He includes our humanity. And if something can hurt us in this human experience, He can advise us and He can give us guidance and everything that we need, because we have a divine mother, and a mother is always taking care of the baby. And this is the call now for our humanity, is to return to the state in which we are like a baby in the arms of a mother, just completely abandoned to her, and to trust her, and to forget about everything that we believe in order to live in grace.
Mark, you wanted to make another observation?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. One specific reason I asked you my question, dear Sebastian, is there certainly are numerous people on this planet who do earnestly believe that they have devoted their entire existence to God, and yet they deeply feel, like, say, in an extreme case, that the New Testament is it and all that there is, and have difficulty accepting communications in, say, the way that you have received. I'm wondering if something can be offered or done to ease that seeming gap or divide. For example, let me give an email I sent this query to you. In the late 40s, there was discovered in a cave in Israel a document from the Essenes, the Nag Hammadi documents, specifically the Gospel according to Thomas, which has words, I won't say in contradiction, but certainly quite a bit different than what the standard New Testament is considered to be, but much closer than, say, much closer to some of the works that we're doing. Is there anything in your guidance or in your discourse with Mary and Jesus that they can make it clear to the general populace? I mean, are these ancient documents of value to look at? And just wondered if that would help bridge the gap to some who I love very dearly and I know have difficulty accepting some of these more modern ways of communication. Thanks, I'm complete.
Thank you. What our Immaculate Mother Mary says about that is to forget about the past and to forget about beliefs and to forget about whatever our mental aspect is bringing to us. We are now in the time of the new, and the new comes from our heart. So it's an urgent call to return to the love that we truly are. So beliefs and mental understandings are always capable to create division and separation. And we are invited to move from there to a space in which union is the only option and the only reality. And that is in our heart. This is all about love. It's not about beliefs. All beliefs are okay for everyone who believes that. So there was a time in our history in which, collectively speaking, there was the idea of that the capability of listening to the voice of God was something for some particular people, some special people. That was part of the beliefs of in the past. But now we are in the new of who we truly are. And this time of histories will be more and more focused on the direct relationship with God. In fact, all the confusion that we are facing in the world is part of the process that helps us to return to that direct relationship with God as it was in the beginning. And that was what Jesus told me 4 years ago. I am creating a space in which, because of the confusion of the world, the spirits can be more open to return to the direct relationship with God as it was in the beginning of the beginnings. So we are called to embrace the truth. If we go to our heart, to the center of our heart, we know who we are. And we know that we have a relationship with God. And we know that with a perfect certainty. And that certainty is where we are invited to live, in the certainty of who you are. And what you are is in unity with God. So everyone can listen to the voice of God because everyone was created by him. And in fact, everyone will listen to his voice.
Lynn?
John,
Yeah, go ahead.
may I add, Sebastian, you said you had a question from someone that you would like to share?
Yeah, John, you sent me a question from Susan Queenie that I have in the email. May I bring this question so we can address it?
Please, yeah.
Thank you. Just to include her. So the question is, Sebastian, a few weeks ago on an evening holy encounter, you shared that Mother Mary is also very willing to help us with physical, worldly things. I have a big vision that would require a lot of finance. I have recently come across a book where money describes itself as love or a loving energy. And that idea gave me a whole new possible perspective to consider. I wondered if you could add further wisdom to our concepts of money, finance, spending in a way that helps the world to be a place of more loving. So that was the question from Susan Queenie, and I want to address it just to include that question as well. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. And as you mentioned before, John, when you talk about the body being used by ego or being used by the Holy Spirit, that applies to everything that is part of the physical universe. Everything in the physical universe is an expression of something that comes from our spirit in one way or another. So in the new reality that we are invited to live during this period of transformation, during this transition, we are invited to integrate everything that is part of this human experience into love. Money is needed in this reality here and now. And when we give that need to the Holy Spirit, He will give us whatever we need in order to accomplish our mission in this world. The purpose of our life in this world and the instruments that we need in order to accomplish that is part of a unity. So the Holy Spirit gives us the knowledge and understanding of why we are here and which is our purpose in our life, and also gives us every day the means and instrument that we need in order to accomplish that. So if that includes money, money will come to us. If that includes knowledge, knowledge will come to us. So the problem is not about the money, it's always about what we have in our heart. We can use the money for the purpose of our mission in this earth, and the Holy Spirit will send it to you or to anyone in the holy way that is needed. However, something that I would like to add here is that most of the time, precisely in the finance realm, in the world of money, is where we express our lack of trust. Because we are in a world in which we need money for almost everything. And money has a huge impact in our daily life. So we are called to trust more and more and to abandon ourselves more and more into God, and to know that He is going to take care of you, including the money that you need at the right time, in the right way, and for the purpose of your existence. So we are called to give our needs to Christ and to wait, trusting Him or her that our divine source will take care of us. And this is something very important, because Jesus said to me once that He wants me to show to the world that his love is an acting love, a love that takes care about every single aspect of my life. And to understand that this is not a theoretical love or an ideal love, it's a human love that comes from God. In other words, that gives us the understanding of who we are. We are God living as human. And God can give you everything that you need. So it's just about trusting and asking him whatever you need, and you wait and you will see miracles.
We come back to trust again. We've got to do our part to be receptive to the guidance. Lynn, you have another question?
I just want to say about integrating everything in love. I've been blessed to take only the love from my past, which I never thought would happen, but it's true. It's true once you put your trust in love. And I have another little poem, if I can squeeze it in. It's called I Am. My job is to be love in trust of all venue. Informed spirit knows itself. Doubt acknowledged, but not believed, as I know now who I am.
Thanks, Lynn. Bud, do you have some other folks and questions in mind?
We do have another question here. Sebastian, can you please speak about the difference between the way of Jesus and the way of Mary? Thank you.
Sure, and thank you for that important question. There are no differences at all in the essence, because Jesus and Mary are Christ in the human expression. They are part of a unity. That's why Choose Only Love is bringing the devotion to the union of the three hearts. The three hearts are Jesus, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and our heart as humanity. Because we are called to understand and to express the unity between the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Both are part of a unity, are part of the same reality. Every time that Jesus comes to me, he brings me to our Divine Mother and vice versa. So the message of Virgin Mary, of our Immaculate Mother Mary, is always the same, is follow Jesus. And Jesus has always the same message, follow my mother. So there is a dialogue between both hearts. There is a relationship between both hearts to us. So they are a unity. In that sense, there's no difference at all between Jesus and Mary. However, there are differences in terms of the human identity. Both are human and God, completely realized. But at the same time, Mary is Mary and Jesus is Jesus. And they want us to integrate that truth, which means that we are in essence all equal, because we are all created by the same love, and we are all love. However, at the same time, we have our uniqueness, we have our personal identity, and they want us to embrace that uniqueness and to love that uniqueness and to respect that uniqueness. We are all equal and we are all different at the same time. And that is what Jesus and Mary is bringing to us. The reality of our union in God and our difference in the uniqueness. So we are all called to express the same love in our uniqueness. And that's the meaning of the unity of Jesus and Mary, to make sure that we understand that our uniqueness is as holy and as divine as Christ.
Rod, you want to make an observation? It's hard to come on, I think.
Yep.
Right. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for your response to my question. Teresa and I have been studying in the 40 Days and 40 Nights today what Jesus says about the difference between the way of Jesus and the way of Mary. Now, it's pretty esoteric, and our understanding that we think we've arrived at today, rightly or wrongly, is that the Jesus way is a way that we as individuals can choose to follow and represent and exemplify, which is, shall we say, being an example life in the external world for people to follow and emulate. And the way of Mary, I can't remember the exact words from A Course of Love, but my understanding of it is that he is saying the way of Mary is more, and he actually talks about the way of incarnation. I'm not sure I understand what exactly is meant by that, but he also says that the way of Mary is about being at a less, I don't want to use the word extrovert, but I can't think of a better one, a more outward way. I don't know if that's giving you enough to work with, Sebastian, but those are the two aspects that we would be very grateful for some clarity on. Thank you.
And thank you, Brian and Teresa, first for being here. I love to see you. And second, for this important topic. I would like to say that for our Immaculate Mother Mary, it's important that we keep in the center of the purpose of our existence, which is love.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what I think about the image of Mary, of Jesus. The only important thing is the love that I receive and I give. So it's all about love. So if one believes, allows me to love more and in a more perfect way, that comes from God and is welcome from God. So Jesus and Mary wants to bring us to the union, to the unity of love. So it's all about love. The important thing is whether we love more and in a more perfect way every single day of our life. And talking about Jesus and Mary and the different ways, based on the revelation that I received, we are called now to the integration of the masculine and the feminine aspect of our soul, because Jesus is all masculine and all feminine, and Mary is all masculine and all feminine, because they are integrated in the totality of what they are. We are now, based on what I've received, we are now in the time of Mary, which is the time of feminine, which is the time of the tenderness of God. So Virgin Mary said to me that this process of transformation, the birth of Christ, who is happening right now in the world and in our soul, comes to us through the tenderness of the Immaculate Heart, because that's the tenderness of God. So we are called to extend the tenderness and sweetness of love. And we need to integrate the feminine. That's why we are in the time of feminine. But the important thing is that the time of feminine is part of this integration process of everything that we are. It's not just about being masculine or feminine. It's just about being both integrated into love. And that is the meaning of the equality of Jesus and Mary. It's the perfect integration of the divine feminine, the divine masculine into of what we are.
But did you have some other folks looking to ask questions?
I just wanted to comment on the fact, and I just put it in chat, that that was a wonderful question that you tasked to us, Sebastian. Can we love in a more perfect way every day of our life? Now, that's one that really should be at the top of our daily to-do list.
Yeah, I really should.
It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, and the answer is yes. And the way of doing that is letting yourself be loved. As much as you receive the love from God, which is expressed also in our brothers and sisters, as much as this love is going to be extended. And I think your question is very important, because when I learn and when I receive the knowledge of the fact that I was created to be loved, I understood that I had years and years of understanding and beliefs that I have to love and have to do something to love others. But because the other is God, as I am one with God, what can I give to God? I cannot give anything to him. Everything that we have comes from him. So when we changed our perspective from looking for ways of loving others through different actions to a new stage in which we receive the love, we open our heart to receive the divine love directly from God and also from our brothers and sisters and in this material universe. And we accept that love, then that love will be extended because of what it is. It is the love that I received, who is extended without any effort of me, because that love that I receive when I let myself be loved transforms me into the love that we truly are. So we move one step ahead from a stage of loving to a new stage of being that love. So that is the call, to let ourselves be loved in order to allow the divine love to transform us in order to be the love that we truly are.
I like in the Course in Miracles that says being, just being. Being is a state in which the mind is in communion with all that there is. So it's sort of a nice definition.
Yeah, and in fact, the last book of Choose Only Love, which is the seventh book, is interesting to see the title, because that book is The Way of Being, which is, I hope Brian Longhurst doesn't mind to mention his book as well. The seventh book of Brian Longhurst is also about being the heaven, being the kingdom within. So it's all about being love. And to be loved, we have to receive that love.
That's all you gotta do. Bud, you got anybody else on? We got another 12 minutes or so before we come to our end of our time.
Well, there's just an overwhelming number of wonderfully warm comments about how your message, Sebastian, is really resonating with everyone's hearts, and it's just very powerful, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And for me, it's important that everyone knows that we are not here just because. We are all moved by the Spirit, because we are shining in the light of Christ, all together, like a core, like a divine core, like a heavenly core, in which we are part of this magnificence creation. And because you opened your heart, you are called to this co-creation of the new, which is the co-creation of the second Advent. And because the question of how we, of whether we can love more in a more perfect way every day is so important, I would say that it is essential to embrace who we are and to live connected with that, and to express who we truly are, because that's the way of bringing the new. The new will come from the truth of who we are. And because we are love, when we are connected to that truth, in the bottom of our heart, we become the truth that we are.
So it's really the Alpha and the Omega, isn't it? I mean, it's being born again into what you always were.
Right. Yeah. It is actually that. So thank you for putting in that in those words, because we come from love. We are here to know who we are, and we discover that we are love. And when we discover that we are love, we know the purpose of our existence, which is to be. We have been created to be who we are. That's the only reason why we exist. There is a chapter in Choose Only Love that talks about that, and talks about how a tree is being created to be a tree. A bird was created to be a bird.
Right.
And we have been created to be who we are. And all the problems we create in this world is because we don't know who we are. And when we know who we are, we know that we are the perfect love. And once we know that and we accept that, the only thing that comes from us is love, because that's what we are. So we return to the origin of everything, which is the Alpha and the Omega. We come from love. We are here to wake up to love, and we are going to live eternally in the love that we truly are. So it's all about love.
It always comes down to love. Love is always the basis for whatever experiences you're coming to. That's how we come to most at the hour of our death, for example. We look around and realize how much we love those that are with us, or how much.
Yeah, and that's very important, because Jesus said once to me, and I want to share this with you because maybe it's useful for you as it was for me, that love is the convergence of everything in the creation. Everything is because of love, lives within love, and goes to love. So this can be a rule of discernment for our life. When we say, what would love do in this situation? Or what would love not do in this situation? Or what would love think or not think in this situation? We are bringing to our mind the perfect discernment, because all is about love. Everything is about love. So once we create the mental pattern of bringing everything to love, we don't do anything that is against love. And that question of what would love do in this situation will bring you and everyone the perfect answer, a clear answer. And in that discernment, you will know why love is the only source of knowledge, because it's the only source of certainty. So everything that we do, we think, or we don't do should be, connected to love.
Karen Floyd, you want to share something?
Yes, I wanted to share my appreciation for all that I've received, and to put this out and see, Sebastian, what you feel about this. For me, Mother Mary is all about receiving. She received and carried Christ just in her physical experience, and her ability to hold that energy within and let it gestate feels to me like what we're being asked to do is to be receptive to love, to receive love, like Mother Mary said yes. And Jesus was the expression, the outward expression of love. He spoke, he shared, he demonstrated. Mother Mary held that energy of love, and Jesus walked with that energy. Of course, Mary did too. But to me, when you said the three hearts, Jesus's heart, the Sacred Heart, Mary's heart, the Immaculate Heart, and our heart, that really resonated with me, to see that as the Trinity, where the two hearts become one within us, our ability to receive love and to give love. And it sparked in me the giving and receiving as one, being a way to demonstrate the cycle of how love moves and moves in us and through us. So I want to thank you for all that you've shared today. It's been beautiful.
And thank you very much for bringing this knowledge of the Trinity. Yeah, everything in creation is Trinity, but maybe that's for another session.
Probably.
Thank you.
Right. We only have 4 or 5 minutes left if anybody else wants to make any.
Actually, Glenn had a comment that he would like to share.
Very good.
Well, first of all, what an amazing gathering of people. You are wonderful. This is a celestial gathering, and I am touched. Thank you for being here. I also want to acknowledge John in particular. You know, the A Course in Miracles gives several characteristics of teachers of God. The final one is open-mindedness. I find John to be exemplary as an open-minded soul. And that is so special. So my experience with John has been that he has opened his heart and opened his mind to, I mean, he's been solid for decades with A Course in Miracles. He knows it well, he lives it. It's part of his blood and bones. And he has also opened his heart and mind to A Course of Love, to choose only love. And I know that he is also opening to things that he trusts as being true. So he has the discernment that it takes to truly be the editor and publisher of Miracles Magazine. And he's generously invited me to participate in the production of Miracles Magazine. So I just want to give a plug, not only for John, but also for Miracles Magazine, because, you know, it does take some money, some finances, some energy, some effort to put out the magazine. So yes, and here has John, he has already given every one of us, if you don't already have it, a free subscription for a year, I guess, of Miracles Magazine. Well, hey guys, let's also subscribe if you're able to, and participate in it. That would be a wonderful thing to do. You know, and also Miracles Magazine in the last several issues, number of issues now, has been presenting material from, how should we say, outside the box. If we think of all these traditional sources as the box, well, you know, we're talking about bringing forth things that resonate, that are true from other people, from other sources, and so Miracles Magazine is attempting to be a conduit for truth, in a larger way. So anyway, I just have to say that, John, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Glenn. My goodness. One thing that about Glenn, I just love this guy's. Here we are loving each other. The heart. I mean, you see the emotion. I remember listening to a sermon that someone recorded. You gave at a Unity Church somewhere, and I just, oh my God, my heart went out to your heart. What else are you going to say? But that's true for all of us, isn't it? I mean, that's what's going on universally. We recognize that we have the truth here, and it's given to us in these words of Sebastian and Mari and Helen Schuckman and other. Beth Gear is on here somewhere, isn't she? Beth, my goodness, thank you for being here and doing what.
And Mary Scalisi is here. There are a number of other people who are absolutely receivers, and what a gathering of souls! Oh my goodness.
You know, Brian is here. I mean, yes. You can keep running down the list, right? Well, we're all receivers, but what these folks seem to do is to not only receive, but have the capacity to share that, to give it back out into the world. They're wonderful channels we're all channels, but for the love as it comes from Jesus or Mary or the angels, or wherever it's coming from.
Thanks for mentioning Brian. Brian's name. Yeah, he definitely is. Mary Reed is also, and you know what? We're all receivers.
Yes, that's it. We're all receivers. It's just some folks seem to have the ability to be pencils. And to get the word down and get the word out to the rest of us in a way that our hearts can connect with that and identify with it and say, yes, that's true. That's true for me too. Because as Sebastian's saying already, we all already know this. We all already know all of it, but it's so nice to have it underlined and put in yellow and say, yes, it's true.
May I just say, there is a power in this coming together that is, it is gentleness.
Yes.
It is acceptance. Yes. It is love. Yes. The gentleness of this gathering has gone deep into me, and I'm sure Teresa as well. But it's the power of gentleness, and that is surely the power of love.
Absolutely.
It's true. It's a power. That's really true. All right. Good. Well, thank you all for being here. I'll be doing this by myself in 2 weeks on looking at God's plan for salvation. And thanks for being. We do need your addresses if we don't have it in order for you to receive Miracles Magazine. You can get it. We can send it to you in any event by digital format, but it's really much nicer to have the actual paper laying on your coffee table or wherever it is that you can pick it up and look at it.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to submit a question. Can I ask a question directly?
Sure.
My name is Mark. Thank you very much for your presentation, Sebastian. It's Mark Rowan. Glenn and yourself and others have talked about trust, and John talked about blocks. I have a block to God. So the effect of that has been, as I say, that I've felt abandoned by God 3 times, awful feeling, and it's left me with a very bad taste in my mouth. At those times, part of me was absolutely hating, loathing, and despising God. And it's left me now, although that's part of me, not the full part of me, it's left me just feeling that I can only go so far with God. I can only trust God so far. So I'd like to ask you, Sebastian, have you got any suggestions? Thank you.
Thank you for being here and for sharing your heart and your experience. The suggestion or the comment that I have to share is to embrace that experience. That experience has a purpose, and you will see the divine purpose after finishing that process. It is a sacred and holy process. So we are called to embrace whatever arises in us, to love everything that arises in us, as Choose Only Love says. So this moment, even though it's difficult, is full of life and love, because when the cross comes to us, also comes the love. So as much as we embrace that experience and we accept that experience as part of what we are living right now, we will receive the divine message and the love that is bringing to us. So not having resistance of anything that happens in our life, or not having resistance of anything that comes to our experience, is what we are talking about. That is the meaning of loving everything that arises in me, because everything that arises in us comes from God, and you will see the miracles at the right time if you don't see them right now. But if you embrace that experience and you take the resistance away, you will understand that the problem is not the situation or what we are having as experience, but our interpretation of that situation. And that is going to be the biggest and deeper miracle that we will receive when we embrace the cross, when we embrace the darkness that we are experiencing. The miracle of understanding everything from the eyes of Christ, which is the eyes of the truth. So as much as we embrace everything that comes to us as something that comes from God, as much as we will understand the process and walk through all of this in peace.
That's what I was saying earlier about the only way out is through. It's and to talk about embracing it. And after the darkness comes the dawn. It always happens. The dawn is there too. Always. The love is always there. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. I'd like to, if we can, Brett, can you get up to the last of the, near the end of the slides there, and we'll do the Lord's Prayer from A Course in Miracles together, and then we go into gallery review and can say our goodbyes to each other that way. You're probably all familiar with this. It's page 350 from A Course in Miracles, the end of chapter 6, or 16. I'll read it, and you can just close your eyes and listen, or say it silently with your mics off as I read through it. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. Let us not wander into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given, and accept but this into the heart which you created and which you love. Amen. Let's go to full gallery view, and we can share some goodbyes that way with each other. Each of us. Hold on.
If everybody can go and choose view and click gallery, that'd be great.
Yeah, I just click the gallery. I will see some of you on Tuesday, and thank you so much for being here. Audrey, 2 days from now, Audrey, you have your operation, right? So blessings. I know that operation is going to go really, really well.
Thank you very much, John.
Yeah, it'll be smooth.
Thanks.
You'll wake up and it'll be all good.
I hope so.
Yeah, it will be.
I feel that way too. I do.
Yeah.
Sam and I would like to share with you a moment. Sam
Okay.
was sick for about 6 weeks, where we were doing IVs on him twice a day, taking antibiotics 4 times a day. And when you're talking about receiving love, there was a point when we had started Choose Only Love. We'll be starting the 4th book here soon. And we were using 2 prayers every night before, when I had to do the last strip for him, because we'd stay up really late and then have to get up at 6 in the morning. And there were 2 prayers. I don't have book 1 or 2 with me, and I'm too nervous to repeat them, but it started out with, "Oh, divine mercy, infinite compassion, you are amazement of the angels and delight of the hearts thirsting for love and truth. Before everything existed, you existed. In you, everything was created. You are the safe refuge for souls and minds seeking calm. Here I am, divine mercy." It goes on, and then here I am, divine mercy. Here I am, essence of my being. Spill your love in me and water the earth with your love. The other one that we did, which was, you want to repeat that, Sam? Oh, divine, infinite.
I am the living Christ who lives in me. I am the truth of the Father come true. I am the face of love that only I can be. I am very holy. I am one with my Heavenly Father. I am the joy of God.
And when we were doing this, Sam was, totally cleaning out. These antibiotics were very strong. He didn't have COVID, but it was like a disease like that. Anyway, in the process, his mother, who he never really felt like loved him enough, came to him and said to him, "Feel the love." I just want to say, a lot of people have been talking today, and we did the Course of Miracles. We did the Course of Love, and now we're doing Choose Only Love. And I feel it's a continuation. And, this is really bringing me back, Choose Only Love. I even studied Tibetan Buddhism and videotaped them for years.
Good.
I just want to say that this is really very, very powerful. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, please do. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Sebastian, for being the pencil, being the love, being all this, because it's really saved us. We were having major problems. And so I'm just giving you my heart. This was my heart. This was my experience. And I really thank all of you and for everything.
Thank you, Adele and Sam. Where are you guys from?
Grass Valley, California.
And we were lucky to be in Glenn's group. Yay.
Oh, really great.
We're in Glenn's group, excuse me. And we met Sebastian. And I feel the love, and it's just, I'm really thankful.
Thankful for you too. Alrighty, thank you all for being here, and I hope you enjoy the balance of your Sunday afternoons.